The pressures of self-isolation and social distancing have made it a little difficult to get the gang together for creating some bat reps, so they will be on hiatus for the time being. But I still wanted to make some content for the channel. Perhaps it came to me from Whispers in the Warp, but I can't help but feel it's an appropriate time for a thematic list build for the Death Guard. The goals of a thematic list build are, in most cases, to stick to the units available to a subfaction. In this case, the Death Guard have a codex all of their own, which makes it somewhat of an easier process. When it comes to the objective themes of the list, they are to make use of Nurgle's sacred numerology, to spread plagues using plague weapons and mortal wounds, and to engage the enemy in close proximity. And the list I've put together does that quite effectively. Structured as a brigade, it encourages units to appear in threes, and provides an ample amount of command points for stratagem combos. At its core, I've had the notion for a close combat Berserker-style Death Guard list in mind for a while, and I'm very eager to share it. Let's go over the list details. As I have already mentioned, the list is organized into a brigade. Leading it and serving as its warlord is the Demon Prince of Nurgle, taken with wings and 2 malefic talons. He serves as the vector for the spreading of Nurgle's plagues. To support this theme of plague spreading, he has been given the psychic power Gift of Contagion, and his warlord trait will be Arch Contaminator. For the uninitiated, this allows units within 7 inches to reroll failed wound rolls with plague weapons. And to enhance that even further, our warlord will be given the relic, Fugaris' Helm, which will increase all of his aura abilities by 3 inches, which on a big base like the Demon Prince's will garner a bit more value from this perk. Jumping ahead to the troops choices. Filling out 3 of the troop slots are 3 min-sized squads of Poxwalkers. They are here mainly to hold backline objectives and provide some relatively cheaper screening options. Filling out the remaining 3 troop slots are 3 identical squads of Plague Marines, comprised of 6 models. Each squad comes to 106 points. 4 have been given dual Plague Knives, and 1 Plague Marine in each squad has been given a Flail of Corruption. While melee Plague Marines might not be the all-around best, each of these squads have 15 Plague Knife attacks and 2d3 Flail of Corruption attacks thanks to Hateful Assault. All of those attacks are hitting on 3s, and with those being Plague weapons, they are rerolling 1s, or rerolling all fails if within proximity of our warlord. I mentioned in the thematic goals segment that this list is Berserker style, and it wouldn't be Berserker style if these Marines did not have rhinos of their own, so the list features 3 rhinos taken with 0 upgrades. With the warlord and core troops defined, we can circle back to the HQs. Filling out the 2 remaining HQ spots are 2 malignant plaguecasters. It gives the army more cheeky mortal wound spam and a good amount of control in the psychic phase, along with some excellent utility. The first plaguecaster has been given the powers Miasma of Pestilence and Blades of Putrefaction. Miasma is the premier Nurgle defensive power. Providing a -1 to hit against ranged and melee attacks is a powerful perk to have. Early game it can be used in conjunction with a Rhino's smoke launchers, providing that van with a -2 to hit. And late game the power can be used on your Plague Marines to grant them some additional defense as they push for objectives. Blades of Putrefaction is an excellent melee boosting power, allowing the selected unit to add 1 to wound rolls in the fight phase. And Plague weapons, which wound on a result of 7+, deal an additional mortal wound. So let's run the numbers. The power goes off, and wound rolls of 6 on those 15 plus 2d3 attacks deal an additional mortal wound. For 1 command point, Veterans of the Long War will make that go off on 5s. In range of Arch Contaminator, then we can reroll all failed wound rolls, which means more chances for those 5s and 6s. It's a little bit of a wombo combo, but this list has enough CP to afford that when you need it. The second Plaguecaster has been given Blades of Putrefaction for a bit of redundancy and the power Putrescent Vitality. Putrescent Vitality provides an infantry unit with +1 strength and +1 toughness. Getting bumped up to strength 5 will help the Plague Marines wound more effectively against other Marines. And the bump to toughness, while not as obviously valuable with a base toughness characteristic of 5, going up to toughness 6 will help the Plague Marines in dealing with massed low-quality attacks. Filling out the elite's requirements of the brigade are all characters, starting with the Biologist Putrefier. He can hop into a Rhino with another Plague Marine unit and turn them into a murder bus. The Blight Bombardment strategy is pretty much a classic at this point. For 1 command point, the Blight Bombardment stratagem will allow all models in a unit to throw grenades instead of just 1. The Biologist's Blight Rack's ability makes wound rolls of 6+ do mortal wounds in addition to normal damage. So now our 6-men unit of Plague Marines is throwing out 66 Blight Grenade shots. If these are in range of our Warlord, they're hitting on 3s rerolling 1s. rerolling all failed wounds due to the blight grenades being plague weapons, and with Veterans of the Longmoor we can get 5s and 6s triggering those mortal wounds, which is some pretty impressive ranged damage output for a unit without a dedicated ranged weapons choice. Next is the Taliban. Fingers crossed Psychic Awakening enables him to chant some Death Guard prayers. While he can't do that currently, he does have the Litany of Hate equivalent aura always active. In addition, he's a cheap elite slot filled and provides CP farm based on his obsession with the sacred number. The last of the elites is the Noxious Blightbringer. Again, he is another cheap elite slot filled, but his primary ability to allow Death Guard units to advance with 2d6 picking the highest will help the Rhino's initial push start far better off. Entering the fast attack units, things are beginning to get a bit gross. At 116 points each are 3 folded bloat drones taken with the flesh mowers. They will help in the early game securing board control. With a total of 10 attacks on the charge, they are hitting on 4s, with strength 8 plague weapons. And each successful wound has an AP characteristic of 2, dealing 2 damage flat. And filling out the heavy support slots are 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, all taken with Plague Spitters. You know the drill here. Advance up the board, leverage Strength 7 Death Guard Flamers, which are plague weapons, make use of the mortar to pick out hard to see targets, and control the board with your 12 wound toughness 8, 5 up invuln disgustingly resilient bodies. And that about rounds out this list. With a few points to spare, by adding in an extra Plague Marine to a squad, arming him with a Bubotic Axe, and giving a Rhino an extra Combi Bolter, the list finalizes at a clean 2,000 points. It provides 15 command points to fuel all sorts of combos, and features the use of melee Plague Marines for some close proximity plague spreading. And as an added bonus, the brigade structure encourages all the Force Org slots to be filled in batches of 3, which I think is a nice touch. I am a firm believer that any transport-centric list requires the presence of similarly tough units on the board. You want your opponent to have some valid choices to draw their attention from the core element of your list, and this has that in spades with the presence of the Blight Drones and Plague Burst Crawlers. Well, that's a wrap on this one. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, or if you can just feel the warm fuzzies sent by Grandfather Nurgle, hit that like button. And if you want to help this channel grow, don't forget to subscribe. If you are a Death Guard player, tell me what you think. I think this list would be really fun to throw down with on the tabletop, and I'd be keen to see what buffs are to come for the Death Guard in their inevitable Psychic Awakening. Thanks again for watching, and I will hope to see you guys in the next one.